number D. Ladies and gentlemen, the bottom left-hand corner, he is your red Protoss. His name is Harstem.
Alright, and in the top right side, the yellow Zerg. Mr. soO. We were in the lobby for so long, and I keep forgetting. I'm so bad at the logos mod, man. I never had to do it. Hold on.
Oh, holding.
Hold on. There we go.
All right, nothing crazy happening, luckily. So
Luckily.
we're good. We're good.
Yeah,
it looks like Dolan has finally been properly seeded into Group B. So
hey, congratulations, Dolan. Well done.
Yes, you've advanced.
Yeah.
But yeah. So as we were talking about soO versus Harstem, obviously, if this was like what 4 years ago, I think everyone would bet on soO. Like if you brought this to a bunch of analysts, they'd probably say yeah, soO.
Probably,
like,
yeah.
One of the most consistent players back in his prime. Even if it was consistently second, soO was consistently beating everybody until that finals. Like he would take out even the players they lost in the finals. He would take them out in other tournaments in different rounds. That level of consistency and that level of performance over time is, I think, very much understated sometimes.
Yeah,
obviously,
no, he was the most feared opponent up until the semi-finals, right? Like the most feared opponent up until the semi-final. If you get in the finals with him, people always joked you're gonna be okay, but the semi-finals up until then, you're screwed.
Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely it's been interesting because ever since soO has been back, it really does feel like there's been definitely some signs where we see like, especially online, sometimes we would see soO and he'd play an amazing game, he'd be like, soO's back. But on LAN we haven't really seen that same, I think, performance when it's been in a live environment. And we've seen that especially in the GSL, where he has struggled a little bit, and we've seen a lot of the kind of the rust and the mistakes in the play that are really, really apparent. I mean, there's been some great videos dissecting some of just the small things that soO would make mistakes with in those GSL games. So really coming into this, I mean, this is the first time that we've really seen him, I think, in a while. We're looking at this, we're gonna look at this and we're gonna say, all right, is this up to, I think, a better level of play? Is there more consistency in the things you're doing, with maintaining vision control, managing your build order and unit production, especially early on when there's pressure? Are you able to do those things a lot more consistently than you were in those GSL rounds? And if so, I think that soO will look really good.
Yeah, I would agree as well. It's one that's up in the air for me, yeah, a little bit. And I'm hoping I'm gonna get some clarity as we get to see these two players face, kind of as a way to see how strong they each are. Probably not either of these players I would pick, as the champion, or most likely champion of the tournament, but both of them I could see as prospects in the top 8, or if on a good run. Maybe again, like I'm more likely then perhaps to pick soO than Harstem because of previous results, but maybe that's just
I was gonna say,
don't
say that. You're gonna make the Harstem fans angry.
Well.
No, but I definitely feel like both these players, even if one of them does go down into that knockout bracket, I absolutely think that they'll both make it into the nice job there by soO to save that drone, but they'll both make it into that playoff bracket. And then I think top 8 for both these players. I think if we start in the round of 24, top 16 is reasonable. Yep. I think they can absolutely achieve that and that's just from what we've seen. Again, Harstem has been putting more time into the game. He's been practicing more. There was obviously a period of time where he was putting a lot of time into the YouTube channel and things like that. And so he wasn't able to practice as much, but now he's turning that around, focusing more on his actual gameplay. So we might see a pretty big step up in the level of his play. And that's the same with soO. We haven't seen him in a lot of tournaments since the last GSL. So one can only assume that he has been practicing. And so we might see him, come out here with a different level. And step it up, and I definitely hope that's what we see for both these players.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit of a Dutch player thing, isn't it, to turn to the YouTubes as well a little bit. but then still show up to tournaments and win. I'm thinking about you, Thermal, for example, another one of those players. It's yeah, it's nice to see. Templar Archives. There's a charge upgrade here for Harstem coming up quite quickly. We're trying to nibble away at the drone count here as well. There's the first 3 drones going away because of the oracles. Caught his adapts a little bit out. That's unfortunate.
Nice catch. Yeah. I don't think, yeah, third adept is going to survive, but still getting 2 there for soO is quite nice. Those are the 3 drones, though. One Oracle got really low, but managed to get on out as Charge and Storm are on the way, or Charge and +1 are on the way. Storm probably going to shortly follow it here with the Templar Archives. This is a very strong build that Harstem is going to be preparing here on the ground. Right now, it's sitting at just the 4 gateways. I would not be surprised if we go up to 8, you know, 8, 9 gates potentially with this.
You might just go for just Archons as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But soO does already have a Roach Warren on the way. He's seeing the high Zealot count. Sees the High Templar being warped on in here. Is actually going to try and dive on forward. Shield Battery will stop them from doing that as Archons are morphed in. And Hydralisk then as well.
It's kind of interesting to me that he tried to wait for the Zerglings to go away before he morphed them into Archons. You know, having the High Templar there and kind of keeping them High Templar gives the idea to soO that perhaps Harstem is trying to maintain them, trying to farm them up for the energy, right?
Yeah.
So that there might be a little bit of a mind game there going on as
big
soO
run
now
by
running in, yeah, with a couple of those Zerglings, but he's still droning up as well as there is a bit of an attack coming in. It's not that much, however. I was expecting, like, there's no War Prism or any way to reinforce that. It feels like a weird kind of timing there for Harstem. I'm not quite sure what else it's really meant to be doing there.
Yeah, I'm liking how soO's handling this so far, though. The Roaches came out just enough that he could defend, but he still has that... actually, no, did he cancel the Hydralisk Den? I'm looking at that structure. Yeah, he canceled the Hydra Den, so just going straight Roaches. He's not going to try and do any Hydra switch just yet. But also, the Zerglings have been very active in the early game. We saw that snipes away a Shield Battery. That's a Shield Battery overcharge, and that energy gone. And so, you know, Harstem has to rebuild that. He's not going to have that overcharge for later. More run-bys can find damage. And right now, soO, he's at 78 workers, and he is amassing Roach Ravager to try and hit this third base. Like, this is a massive swell of units.
Yeah, Sonic Storm is now available. That's definitely going to help out against those Zerglings and Banelings running in. The attack is spotted as well. The Oracle sacrificed for it. It's going to be able to get
+1 melee too.
Position.
It's a very dangerous attack here. Gateways are just going to be focused down. soO has a lot of Banelings as well. Those can roll forward towards the mineral line. Harstem is going to have to pull away. Storm goes down. Second Storm has to be pulled, or has to be popped, though, and a lot of the shield's gone off those High Templar now. soO still going to back away. Zealot run by is going to distract him. So he just gets the 4 probes, backs on up. Would like to see soO, though, start to apply this pressure, because right now, the army for Harstem really does not fight that well into Roach Ravager.
Yeah, it definitely struggles. More High Templar are going to be available here, so more Storm is coming up as well the longer soO waits. But he is getting Infestation Pit behind this. He is getting more bases, right? It's not like he's in a situation where he has to find damage right now, though. It could be a very good opportunity to find damage, however, still.
Storm goes down. I mean, the splits are decent there from the Roaches. Banelings still trying to hold on and see when they can roll in. A great bait there on the Storm, soO. Just moving them forward a little bit now. The Storms come down. The Banelings are going to get popped. As soO, it doesn't feel like he can really push this position now without those Banelings without that threat. It's going to have to just back up, bide his time. And the Archon's holding strong right now for Harstem. Just behind this, soO, as you said, 5th base on the way. +2 melee weapons did finish, but that's kind of synchronous with the +2 of the Protoss. soO already working on his Hive, though, and Carapace upgrade, so he is going to start to prepare for the next stage of the game.
Yeah, and without any ranged upgrades coming in so far, I wonder if we're just going to see the very intense circling aggression here. Adrenal glands maybe popping up, get himself some Vipers, and start rolling in the Banelings left, right, and center, where Harstem is not quite as prepared as he would have liked to be against all those Banelings.
Yeah, here we go, and once again, soO. It's hard, though. He has so many Zerglings, and he's fighting into Archons as manages to actually avoid a lot of the damage from these Storms, and I think, honestly, getting that energy out, soO just going to back up, wait for that health to regenerate. I would like to see soO maybe start to throw in some run buys, but you know, still Harstem's keeping an Archon there at that 4th base. At the 5th base, not going to take too much damage, good cleanup. But what is this hive going to be used for is the real question. And it looks like a Spire, as soO is going to start to prepare to add on some air tech here.
Alright. Again, would love to see that Adrenal Glands as well, as one of the, feels like, more important upgrades in a situation like this. It's just, it's so much extra damage those Zerglings do, and 93 Zerglings, that's a decent chunk. He's gonna try to perhaps outworm his opponents. Harstem, and those Archons would actually tank quite a couple of those Banelings. Nice Storms, keeping them at bay. Together with a couple of Force Fields.
Great Storms there, and a Zealot run by at the same time onto the 3rd base here. Gonna knock down 7 drones so far. Harstem trying to get more with the shift click is not gonna be able to as the Zerglings come on through, start cleaning it up, but now Warp Prism's also coming in. It's 2 Warp Prisms here for Harstem. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get the Warp Prisms, though the Spore Callers are in a good position. Overall, he gets 10 drones as the Queen's now focusing down that first Warp Prism. It's not gonna go down. Second one also finding its way into the main. I'm liking this from Harstem. He's buying time. He's behind this. Carriers are on the way. soO's Spire not yet done, as more and more units need to be brought to try and deal with these Warp Prism harass. I think right now Harstem actually working with 11 gateways, and so soO really has to respect these Warp Prisms because there are just so many Zealots that can come out of it, and with the +2, those Zealots do a lot of damage. Finally, that Warp Prism is going to be sniped. soO will have a bit of breathing room here on his 5 bases, but again, inside out, it's a small map. Yeah. So right now, you do need to start to look towards this transitions, trying to find some damage, because so far it's been a lot of posturing. soO really hasn't been able to find a good fight.
Moving a bit further forwards there. Are those the Banelings trying to roll in? Yes, they are, but look at the infrastructure there for Harstem. That is just going to cause those Banelings to run right into the army.
I think soO did manage to see the carrier, though, just barely as it was rallying out. So soO, now with the knowledge that this is going to be carriers as the transition, Warp Prism back into the 3rd base, just being so annoying. And soO once again brings the whole army back, alleviating that pressure completely.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised we didn't see like a single Corruptor or something like that, even just coming out to shoot down the Warp Prism or negate that airspace there a little bit, but I guess he hasn't been suffering too much. He's just been, you know, kept busy over and over again. Big attack here in the middle. Those Archons filling up the choke points, but it's going to allow the Ravager Biles to land quite nicely too.
Yeah, Corrosive Biles take down one of the Archons, but overall this trading has been very good for Harstem. Right now working with +3 attack for these Archons. Yeah, they do a lot of damage to the Zerglings. They do not last for long, as now the Zerglings trying to come in on in, but they don't have Adrenal Glands. Their DPS really not quite that high. Still managed to force a cancel on that 5th base, and anything you can do to delay the Protoss economy at this point is obviously good, as Harstem continuing to just be so annoying with these Warpins, as now a few more drones going down, another Queen falls, Corruptors finally out, are going to be able to knock down the Warp Prism. Yeah. And now that we have Corruptors out, this is going to start to get to the point of the game where soO, I think, needs to start to get ready to counter what the Protoss is doing, because you're going to be looking at soon, I mean, 6 carriers, and right now, he's only got 11 Corruptors.
Definitely could be a problem here. And, well, he's still maxed out on supply, so he's going to have to find a way to utilize this Grand Force still in a beneficial way, hopefully. Running into the carriers and Archons might not be the most efficient, but we still have some supply to make an army ready to fight the carriers.
Yeah, the 5th being canceled now again is also really good for soO. The fact that he's able to get multiple cancels on this base. This is, again, it's slowing down Harstem. At the same time, soO is taking his own 6th, even has creep spread at the 6th of Harstem, so he can actually decide to take that base later while also denying it from his opponent. I believe that's the macro hatchery in the main. So there's a lot of production here for soO, is moving around to these Corruptors, trying to find damage, but again, with so few, it's really hard to find snipes onto these, onto these carriers. You're usually looking for about 18 or so Corruptors to really be able to just go in and one-shot carriers.
Yeah, exactly. Also, not a lot of spellcasters here yet for soO. Maybe another one of those staples for soO now and again. But yeah, the Viper's such a powerful opponent again as well for those carriers, right? Not just the abduction, but the parasitic.
Oh, look at those
as well.
splits. And now soO committing on in, though. Baneling's coming on in. All of the High Templar almost go down. One more storm, but the Corruptors are just walking on forward. They're trying to get as much damage as they can as the Archons are starting to fall, but soO's supply is dropping drastically as the carriers stand strong. 5 still alive. And soO commits on in, but I think even the Stasis Ward there, a lot of those Zerglings blocked the Baneling path.
Yeah, exactly. It looked quite funny, but it worked out really well for Harstem with a lot of his army blocking it from view a little bit as well there for soO. I think he still realized what was happening, but it's tough to judge then. Is there still a way to get through? Is there like a little hole to go through somewhere here? But yeah, definitely losing more than he gained, it felt like.
Corpus on the way going back up to 15, but Harstem plus 3. Ship. These carriers are going to absolutely shred through whatever they come in contact with. The Void Rays as well that are being added on in with that prismatic alignment. Yeah, the Armored Corruptors, they don't do very well. This whole army of soO, in fact, you know, it's not going to do the best against the army that Harstem's preparing, as these Zealots are going to get cleaned up. Banelings going to be able to stop them from really finding that much damage overall. We are seeing this game start to get towards this position where I don't know if soO is going to be as comfortable as Harstem in this stage of the game. This is a position where Harstem has so much experience. I mean, he's played out countless games.
Yeah.
to this stage. And soO, I don't know, it's never the part of his game that I've associated soO with. With soO, you know, you always think of this mid game where he just gets this massive army, is attacking everywhere with Ling Bane.
Well, it's this kind of, right? Ling Bane, Ravager, Corruptors, and then just not as many spellcasters. Like, yeah, I'm really missing the Vipers here. That Parasitic Bomb on the carriers, right? It deals with the Interceptors so well that it becomes a lot more doable for you to take those fights. Because you have a bit of a way to deal splash damage yourself, as you're taking quite a bit of splash damage from the Archons and the Storms there.
Oh, soO, he's found a position where there's just no vision here from Harstem. I mean, I would love to see Banelings go into that 4th base right now. It's pretty exposed, but instead he's just going to look to try and break down the wall and go into the main. The Corruptors know where the army is, and soO is just going to go for the jugular here with his ground army, and Harstem just says, okay, yeah, let's do it, base race.
Fair enough. soO still roaming around, though, with those Corruptors trying to poke away at the carriers that are being left behind by the ground forces. Good storms indeed. Interceptors still giving chase.
So many Archons here.
Is the fight gonna be forced now out of Harstem? That would be a lovely thing for him because he did take quite a punch on the chin just before, but he still has a very powerful army. Maybe just a too powerful army for soO to deal with right now, as soO will not even
so many Archons.
Mothership. There we go. Harstem taking game number 1.
Yeah. I mean, you need something else there as soO. You can't work with just Ling Bane into that many Archons. I mean, I don't even know how many Harstem had at the end of that, but I'm pretty sure he had more Archons than Corruptors.
Yeah,
towards the end there. But yeah, I mean, at that point, you know, Broodlords honestly maybe are the better option getting into, you know, I mean, Roaches would do better, honestly. Yeah. Getting out. What, Hydralisks?
Or any spellcaster as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Infestor's a great thing if you manage to Neural Parasite a couple of carriers. That's so much value for the, you know, supply stat. Carriers quite a bit more supply than the Infestor, and you can rebalance the game there quite quickly. Or, yeah, again, the Vipers, right? Abducting, Parasitic Bomb. These are the stuff that the people usually struggle with, and which is not seeing it from soO, and that's something that it worries me. It worries me quite a bit here for soO, as you know, there is another Protoss here in the bracket with him, and well, you know, if Patty Mac gets himself into a late game situation there as well, maybe he's going to be able to beat soO too if soO has this approach.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a game where soO, it felt like maybe he wanted to force the issue, but he just didn't commit to it, and so he was sitting with this really strong army that just didn't scale well into the late game. But ladies and gentlemen, bottom left-hand corner of Data C. He's your red Protoss. He is the captain himself, Harstem.
And his opponent in the yellow, it is the Zergs fighting for the Team Freaks. It is soO. There we go. A little hop and scotch with the camera. Ah, lovely. He's called the Angry Zerg as well. That's his nickname. That's interesting. I don't know why exactly, and I feel like I disagree with it heavily. That's alright.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like soO has always been a bit more... He's been a bit more, like, cheerful than angry. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe
I
that's
feel like
in, like, Home Story Cup, where we get the camera on him a lot, right? When we see him.
I mean, when he's playing, yeah, he's very focused when he's playing. But, like, you know, usually after a game, he gives a sly smile, and he's like, yeah, it was a good time. But it's always interesting how nicknames end up starting and where they come from.
Yeah. Wonder how many nicknames Harstem has right now. Let me see.
Oh, the captain.
Oh.
So we got to pause.
Pause. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Is this gonna continue quite quickly again, or? Okay, yeah, they are.
Yeah. Looks like we're good.
Game resumed.
Okay. Neither of us got angry Discord messages from Harstem here? No? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. We're good.
But yeah, I don't know. It's always interesting. Like, I feel like some nicknames obviously are very deserved, and then some you're like, where did that start from? I want to know.
Yeah, this one, for example, apparently Harstem, one of his nicknames is the Poop Man. That is.
is that
that is
an
on the
alias he's gone by?
Wikipedia. That is on his Wikipedia. Yep.
All right. That is an alias he has gone by. Okay, that's funny.
Flaming
I
lips.
like that. Yeah, I know that one. I know that
We
one.
know that one, right?
Yeah.
Lip toss.
We know he's played as that one. Yeah.
A lot of lips.
Yeah. soO's only alternate ID is just his challenge bracket name, which is just like the
These
bunch
are
of
nicknames
letters.
as well. It's not even an alternate ID.
Oh
ID.
yeah.
Yeah. This is what other people call him, right? He has no choice in this.
Yeah.
He has no
You're
choice.
saying that like Harstem doesn't want people to call him that stuff.
Yeah, no, but like, I'm pretty sure if he wants, he can make the appeal, or he can just add it to that page himself as well. So, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure he just thought it was funny and kept it there.
Absolutely. But yeah. Harstem just poking around with the Adept. Same opening here. Obviously, Data C. I mean, we saw our hour-long game on this map. It's a big map. Like, there's not much more you can say about it. It is big. It tends to go long. There are games where it ends early, but usually that's more so because one player wasn't prepared for something than another player choosing to end it super early.
Yeah. To be fair, I feel like soO has to really step up his late game here if we want to see another situation like that. Otherwise, I would just give it to Harstem here, the victory, I think. Well, not just give it to him, right? You still want to play, but I feel like the victory is going to fall towards Harstem then.
Yeah. And obviously, if Harstem wins, then you'd probably expect him to go on to face off against Bunny. And hey, like, a TVP, that's definitely very doable for Harstem. That one Oracle gets very low. 7 health left. A little bit of miss micro there, and you want to leave a bit more HP on that. As once again, it's Twilight Council and Forge. I don't know if it's going to be Charge again. That build, that opening for Harstem really didn't end up doing that much, but he didn't end up ever getting Blink Stalkers. So maybe he just prefers going for the Charge lots, but he says, hey, I don't really like the Blink Stalker opening. I think it's a bit better on the larger maps just because you have so much room to use those blinks, but we might just end up seeing the Charge lots again as soO right now on 3 bases getting up. That layer is Tumor is now going to be sniped. Never mind. Oh,
Like
Harstem's not going to let.
Let's see if he actually goes. Yeah, it is going to be the Charge again. So that The way I kind of felt like he played it the last time, I don't know if something happened in the game which made him change his mind on how to approach it, but it really did feel like it was just a set of units, right? That is threatening. And you don't do damage with them, you just kind of walk them up and you move back, force units out of the Zerg, and stop them from getting up to above 80 drones too quickly, right? But I think it was somewhat effective. We did see a big swell in units from soO as a response. I don't know how effective exactly it's going to be if it happens a second time.
I know for sure, and I feel like that was one of the big issues that we saw soO get this massive swell of units, and he didn't really ever come in with it. He didn't ever try and force anything and was playing it very safe. And that just meant that in the end, Harstem was able to macro up and feel pretty comfortable in his position, as once again, these Oracles trying to fly on in. There is a Queen in the main, though, obviously, and behind this, look at that. That's a super quick infestation pit. Is this going to be...
Ooh.
It's going to be 4 base lurkers?
There is ranged attack now for soO, so yeah, I don't think you're too far off on that guess.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess... What, lurkers? Roaches are still coming out, though? You go, I don't know if you go swarm hosts on this map. Maybe you do go swarm hosts on this map. It's data seized. So almost wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, it might be rough with Harstem already coming across the map here, right? You don't want to start making them now at least, but maybe? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, soO, very quick infestation pit. Don't quite know what his plan is for it yet, but he's still going into roaches, so that's leading me to believe that, yeah, this actually might just be something like Knighted Swarm Host, or even Swarm Host without the Knights, just walk them across the map and launch some of those locusts. And yeah, there we go. 5 Swarm Hosts from soO. This is... You don't see this unit very often in TVP. There was a period of time where it was very prevalent. I mean, I'm thinking especially of a player like Rogue, using them a lot. And you would just constant locusts into bases, sniping them away. It's such an annoying unit to play against, especially as Protoss, because you don't really have that super consistent anti-light unit like the Hellbat that Terran has. You know, you don't. The Archon is the closest equivalent, but even then, the Archon is a bit bulky. The actual pathing in the AI is a little bit derpy, and so it's hard sometimes to really collapse in. As Storm Host gets revealed there a little bit early, I think, for soO prematurely. And he's taking this fight in the middle of the map. 4 bases now for the Zerg. He's going up to a massive Swarm Host count. This is going to be 16.
Wow. Okay. He's got a good battering ram of roaches to go with it as well. So most likely we're just going to see him try to go in every time he has those locusts available. Push in with the biles, land on the static defense. I'm a bit surprised he's already poking in here as aggressively as he is. Loses a good chunk of roaches.
Great disruptor hit again. soO has a split. It's pretty decent as locusts commit on in. They don't really find altogether that much value, though. Stasis Trap is doing its job. More and more locusts coming in, but the roach count is not that high. Again, a lot of supply is tied up in these locusts. I mean, when you have 16 swarm hosts, they're 3 supply each.
Yeah.
You know, it is such a supply intensive unit right now. Out of this army supply, with 16 swarm hosts, you're looking at about what, 46 supply maybe taken up by it. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 52 supply.
Okay, more disruptors are here now, but that is a scary moment to send those disruptor charges out. It's one of them surrounded now.
Oh. Yeah, actually, good trades here by the locusts. Yeah, soO, I think, starting to find some ground here, just continuing to fight. Shield battery overcharge has been popped, and so now he just pulls back. He's going to have more locusts soon as he's working on his upgrades. And there's the lurker den as well as actually behind this. Harstem does manage to slip out a run by. Some roach is going to try and deal with it as it looks for worker kills. Hasn't found anything just yet. soO actually pulls back everything here just to deal with this. And this has been a consistent issue for soO. He's actually pulling back so many units to deal with these run bys. And right now, I mean, you're trying to all in. You're trying to really apply the pressure. You're on 68 drones. Oh my, that disruptor shot.
That was quite nice there for Harstem. Definitely lightens the workload here in the future battle. A nice stasis, in fact, catching 4 of those swarm hosts. Still a good chunk of locusts coming that way, of course. Gotta be careful to save that Nexus. And then afterwards, there's gonna be an opportunity to at least kill those. Oh, that's gonna go down.
It goes down.
That is rough.
Not what Harstem wants. This is where the Locusts start to get really scary, is when you're sniping off bases, sniping off Nexi for the Storm Host to go down, so that's going to make this a little bit easier. But again, as long as these Storm Hosts can maneuver around, and this is why we see them so often with something like the Night Storm, so you can reposition them, you know, so they can shoot their Locusts over the dead airspace into the main, into the third, into the natural. soO doesn't really have that option right now with his Storm Hosts, but he's still continuing to be active with them out on the map. And now Harstem looking to push. soO, you got to be careful. Disruptor shot manages to dodge away so that the Ravagers don't get hit, but still Harstem finding so much value with these units as once again, Storm Host looking for a counterattack, but it's so dangerous for them to be here.
Yeah, they could get boxed in here. There is no burrow upgrade, nor is there a real Nidus network, as you mentioned before. Lurkers are set up, trying to defend against the Protoss army, as the Swarm Hosts are going to get safe passageway back to the rest of the Zerg.
Yeah, soO, a bit of a mistake there. He didn't actually target down the Nexus. It's still going to be able to get it. No cancel there for Harstem. And that means that Harstem now needs to try and find damage with this push, but Lurkers are already here. And the Lurkers just do so much damage. The Swarm Hosts are returning 3 of them. No, they're not going to actually get caught out, as soO pulling them back. Harstem trying to manage this fight. Needs to try and find damage. Another split, not quite good enough, as the Locusts almost are back on rotation. Disruptor shot again lands in Harstem, even though he doesn't have a fourth, finding so much success with the splash damage.
Yeah, those Disruptor shots just cleaning house with the Roaches. Another wave of Locust is coming in, however, and that could be quite dangerous. Wise back up there for Harstem, as his Zealots ready with the Archon Splash, helping out quite tremendously.
So many Archons.
He needs to get rid of those Lurkers here, however, and
yeah,
he
they're
does
gonna
manage
go
to get on top
down.
of them.
I mean, there's just not enough Lurkers here. The Archons, they're so powerful. This is Protoss right now. This is Archons. They are just such a beefy unit. They do so much splash damage, and soO is having such a hard time dealing with them. And you get to Archons at this number, especially, it is so hard for the Zerg to attack in. It's so hard for the Locusts to commit in, because there's so much splash damage available. And Harstem, his army is slowly getting thinned out, but still he's working with a similar army count to that of the Zerg. Lurkers have been replaced, but there's only one of them. soO desperately needs more, as right now he's only working on 4 bases. Harstem's finally got up his own 4th Nexus.
Oh,
again,
this is
where
nice. Come on, see it, Harstem. There you go. All right.
This is where you wish that you would see something like a Nidus Worm. You know, the Nidus Worm would help so much. Oh, those Disruptors. Yeah, this is it. soO's going to lose all of these. Not all of them, actually. Locust enough to push back the Disruptors, but still losing so many. And at this point in the game, I mean, carriers are out. Harstem has weathered the storm.
Definitely feels like it. We're slacking behind a little bit, but I mean, soO in no respect has claimed that much on his side of the map either. Okay, that is dodged. Oh, the Swarm Host. Oh, that is a miss rally or a misclick, a miss move, and suddenly Zealots hot on their heels. Locusts have to be used defensively, and I guess Harstem is going to try to just evacuate this area now. Oh, nice round from the Roaches and Hydras coming in from above. Definitely still putting in a bit of work here.
Actually, a really good fight there by soO. He's finally going to win a fight. It's not been that good for soO these last few engagements. He's lost 2,000 more minerals. Surprisingly, only 2,000 more minerals, but also 2,000 gas. Needs to continue to try and look for fights like that. Doesn't have muscular augments yet, and you see how hard it is to micro these Lurkers without that upgrade. The creep spread also has been denied very well by Harstem. Has not been replenished, as soO finally working on that 5th hatchery, but it's very delayed compared to what you would like. I mean, Harstem is at 74 workers. Harstem is on a great economy, and right now he's working to add on his 3rd Stargate.
Yeah, he's got most of the beautiful things the Protoss could desire here to try and hold this. Storm, Disruptor shots, Archons, Carriers.
Oh, good Disruptor hit.
Doesn't quite manage to get that one right there. Good feedback on the Viper, though, however, as Harstem holds on here.
There's nothing
really going to be enough, yeah.
There's nothing to deal with the Carriers. There's not a lot of upgrades here for soO as he decides to try and turn it. But again, you don't have your reinforcement of Hydralisks yet. Needs to back up. Is going to lose a Lurker for his trouble. Right now, it feels like Harstem, his army is just scaling. It's getting better and better. It's Archons, Carriers, and High Templar is just, it's a better army. You know, there's not much you can do right now. More and more Hydras are being produced. They have +2, but I don't know if that's going to be enough.
This is starting to look like a 2-0 situation, perhaps, coming in for soO, as he's gonna lose his 5th base, back to 4 bases in total. And this army for Harstem just doesn't really look like there's anything that can stop it. At least not over a long period of time, where those disruptors are just gonna keep shooting into this ball of Hydralisk.
Yeah, I mean, a yoink here onto the carrier is gonna go down. Second carrier also getting focus beats, but the Hydras aren't split! Harstem finds an amazing connection there with a disruptor. And soO, it feels like this game is slowly starting to fall out of his control. The observer is just being so annoying right now. And even if you snipe off these interceptors, again, it's a massive economy for Harstem behind this. The lurkers are going to fall. And without the lurkers, that means the rest of the army can come in. And Harstem, what a great performance from him so far in this first game, first match.
It took soO a little bit to start sending in those Swarm Host Locust again, but I mean, there was a lot going on in that situation. Maybe he would have been able to just slowly get back on top of things again. He wouldn't have lost as many Hydras, perhaps, if he kept sending in those Locusts over and over, but here we are. This is what it is, and more Disruptor shots coming forwards, taking out more Hydras, and that base is going to go down. soO sends back the Zerglings, trying to go for some sort of a counter-attack, but it is futile. Harstem, it is his day. He is looking pretty solid so far, taking a 2-0 victory over soO.